I'm Steven from Just Got Played. We've also got Lloyd, Erock, Jim Jam, JJ, and Tiffany. And we are gaming through the alphabet. So what does that mean, gaming through the alphabet? So we are going through every letter of the alphabet. And we're going to tell you our favorite game, published game that begins with that letter. And then we'll also tell you what is the highest rated game on the website BoardGameGeek for that letter. This is a follow-on to our series, Gaming Through Time, which was a big hit for the channel. But also, if you missed the ABC video, the first video in this series, I've got links down below. So check that one out. And I'll link the other videos that come after this one as we release those as well. So, all right. In this video, we are going to do the letters D, E, and F. So we're going to start off with D, and I will let Lloyd start us off with D.
Me?
What have you got?
I get to go first.
Yay. You do, man.
So this is probably the most Lloyd game on this entire list. This is, you guys go around with your points around the board and all your Euro-y stuff, and this is just straight Ameritrash, dice rolling, minis everywhere, just upgrade cards all over the place. It's Defenders of the Last Stand. So it's Richard Lannius's magnum opus. He kind of re-implemented, I guess it was Defenders of the Realm for Eagle Griffin. This was with 8th Summit. And it's basically, I guess, that with a lot more stuff on it. It's kind of Mad Max themed. You're in a post-apocalyptic landscape and you're trying to save the one bastion of humanity left. And there's 3 gangs and monstrosities that are trying to march their way towards the last stand, the city, and destroy it. And you have, all these different rangers with all these different powers, and you're going around. It's kind of like what am I looking for? Pandemic with guns. Like there's just stuff coming out on the board, and you have to manage it. The cards come out, and they put different gang members all over the place. And if too many gang members are in a spot, they overspill and they run off into the other place, and they put these oil rigs out. And there's just, a myriad of ways to lose and only a couple ways to win, depending on which scenario you're playing. But it's just big and bombastic. It takes up the whole table. There's like 5 different stacks of cards for like mutations. You can get laser beam eyes. You can be like an X-Man. You can get grenade launchers, and you can go to the saloon and bet to get more cards. And just a lot of dice rolling and fighting big, like Lord Humongous type enemies before they destroy the last stand. And they have a lot of nods to Mad Max and all that stuff. Well, one of the things, you have to build like a gyrocopter to get out of the city before it gets overrun. I mean, they're just winks and nods everywhere. So if you like big, dumb, just Ameritrash, it's co-op. So you're just rolling dice and, modifying dice with, like I said, laser beam eyes or radioactive a third arm. It's ridiculous, but very fun.
All right. Post-apocalyptic, or as we call it in Florida, Tuesday.
Pretty much.
All right. So Tiffany, what have you got for your letter D game?
For my letter D game, I picked a game that a lot of people love because of the nostalgia and the, the feel of the game. It definitely has a vibe, but I don't dig any of that because I'm not really into the 80s. So I just love the game. And that game is Dinosaur Island. So it definitely has a look about it. It definitely vibes from the 80s. And, that's all well and good. That's not really my cup of tea. But what is my cup of tea is a really great worker placement. All my games. It's basically Tiffany's A to Z list of worker placements she loves is my list. But it's just it's a really great game where you play to it's just a standard your worker placement. You're trying to increase your worker pool size. You're trying to increase the productivity of your actions each round. You're trying to just get the most for each round, make the most of each of your resources, trade them in so that you can get the best combos and build the best dinosaurs and have the most people come visit your park. And it's just a really great dinosaur theme park game from the 80s that I only like because it's a worker placement.
Yeah, but it's more than just a worker placement. I mean, there's like 2 different layers of worker placement. And then there's another set where you like just buy things from a market and then you set up your board and do all this stuff. So there's a lot going on in this game. I like it a lot
like
too,
Jurassic
Dave.
Park.
But yes.
Jurassic Park in a board game.
Yeah, that's
People get eaten if you don't have enough security. It's great.
in Miami Vice colors. Yes.
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 That's right.
Yeah.
Great.
I am an outlier here. I'm an outlier here that I don't like this game, but
I don't particularly like it either.
oh, okay.
I played the second one, Dinosaur World. Is that what the second one was?
Yeah, it's the same one with
Yeah.
a Jeep.
What?
Well, I won't get into my diatribe about what I don't like it. But have you, Tiffany? Have you played Tiny Epic Dinosaurs?
No, I haven't.
That is also a worker placement dino racing
Ooh.
game. So I'll show you that sometime. Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe
I would
when
love
we
that.
do our-
Have
Maybe
you,
when
have
we
you
do
gotten
our
to play the
catch-ups.
expansion for Dinosaur Island?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yes.
Liquid. Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
That's integrated in so much as it's in 2 boxes on our shelves because you cannot fit all of that in one box. But
Yeah.
All right. So JJ, you spoke very highly of Dinosaur Island. What is your D game?
Well, yeah, I had to. That was a runner-up, so I had to cross that off my list because I was deciding, and you helped me make a decision, so that's good.
All right. Glad to help.
And then I was going to go ahead and put Dune Imperium in there, but then I went through the BoardGameGeek list, and I saw a game I played very early on in my gaming days, probably the first or second game I ever played with like a gaming group, and I had to go ahead and buy it because the guy that I had played it with had stopped coming around. He was the only one that I had ever seen with the game. So I had to eventually just go ahead and buy it myself with the expansion because it was a great game. And I remembered it for like 5 years after that. My D game is Deus.
okay.
Yeah. Love Deus. It's a great game. Basically, so I'm gonna break this down for you. Basically, what you have is you have a square board and you're taking 2 dice on your turn and you're rolling your die. And then you're going around the outside of the board and you are stopping in certain areas. And if you decide not to take that area, you can buy it with money. But if you decide not to take the area, you actually can go up for an auction. Not an auction. People don't really know about that. And then you can have everybody's like a different character. You're going around, and if you make it all the way around the board, sometimes you get $200. But in certain corners, if you land on it, then they're going to take you to jail. So if you got to be careful with the dice rolling because you only get 2 die. And
I can't keep a straight face anymore. Sorry. Yeah.
if you roll doubles, you get to go again. But if you roll doubles 3 times, then you have
I'm
to go
like-
to jail.
I think he got the wrong name.
Oh my gosh, that was Monopoly. Oh golly.
Maybe somebody taught it wrong.
Oh my gosh, I got to check my notes. Let me get that out.
How many
I'm
house
dropping
rules
stuff
did
over
you
the place.
use?
Deus. Here, I got it. Deus. Okay, so what's great about Deus is the board changes every single time. That was the first thing I liked about the game is you have a different board every single time. So you can change the board up however you want. But basically, it's a tableau builder. You have a tableau that you build, and then you have a deck of cards, and the cards have like 5 different colors. And depending on when you play the card, you get different abilities corresponding to those colors. And then there's buildings you can put out. It's a little bit area control, a little bit because nobody can really kick you out of the area once you claim it. So there's that little part in there. But every card, every color of the card does a different ability. You go to the gods and you make a tribute, all these different kind of things. It's so much to talk about right now. And I already took up my time with that other one. I got my notes crossed up. But anyways, if you like area control, you like tableau builder, and you like different cards doing different abilities, this is the game right here.
It almost has a wingspan effect to it where when you do an action, you get all of the ones you've already played. So if I play a yellow card, I get all the yellow cards I've already played. So you're constantly like hitting the same things over and over again. It's cool.
Oh,
Yes.
that's cool.
And when I played Wingspan, I thought the same exact thing, and nobody knew what I was talking about. I said, "This is like Deus," and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Oh my god."
Yep.
Killing me.
Sure
Killing
is. I'm in your
Yeah.
corner. Yep.
me. Such a good game.
All right, cool. Well, you all have seemed to go down longer Ameritrash strategy games, etc. I'm going party game here. So I'm going a different direction because my favorite game that starts with the letter D is
Dixit?
Dixit.
Okay.
Indeed, right? So I mean, I'm a big fan of Dixit. I like party games in general. I like shorter games. I like games that support lots of players. So in Dixit, you have just a hand of abstract cards, abstract art, right, on these cards. And if it's your turn, you're going to put one of those cards down, or you're going to describe one of your cards, right? And you have to give a description that is vague enough that not everybody can get it, right? If everybody knows exactly how you described your card, they're going to pick your card and you're not going to get any points. If you are too vague about your description of your card and nobody gets your card, then you're not going to get any points. So you've got to describe your card in a way such that not everybody is going to know that you're describing your card, because there's also going to be other cards in the mix, right? So when all the cards are revealed, it's going to be your card, and then every other player gets to submit a card from their hand that they think matches the description of what you're saying, because they're trying to get other people to pick their card because they get points for that. We like to throw in a random card off the deck, rando cardrisian style. And it's just weird. And it's just a weird game, but you can play with a ton of people, and it's quick and it's fun, and it's not deep with strategy. There are definitely ways that you could game this game, right? And it is not fun when you're playing with people who are gaming the game. So if there are people who just really have to win, this is not the party game to play with them, I would say. But if everybody's just, relaxed atmosphere, wanted to have some fun, it's a great game to pull out. And, and you could just play for a couple rounds. You don't even have to really, do the whole thing for score to see who wins, just play till you don't want to play anymore, than play something else, because it's a fun activity at that point. And these abstract cards in the game, there are a lot of these games now that use these different abstract cards. You can mix and match them between the games too. So, there's some value in that. But anyway, it was one of the earlier sort of party games my gaming group started playing, and we still pull it out every now and then because really like it. Dixit. That's my D game.
That was my runner-up.
Oh,
Nice.
really?
Yeah,
Nice.
I almost went with that just because I played it more, but I like the other one more. So
Yeah. Well, that's what you get with shorter partier games. You've played them more, of course, right?
Easier.
All right.
to people.
Yeah, definitely, right? Because you could teach that game in just a couple minutes, right? Defender's of the Last Stand probably takes you half an hour to teach, right?
it takes like 40 minutes to set it up.
Yeah. There you go, right? Meanwhile, you finished a game of Dixit.
Right.
All right. Well, I have strategically saved Erock here for last, and he knows why. We all know why. What's your pick, man?
Well, Jim Jam brushed upon it, but I'm diving right in, and I'm going absolutely Dune Imperium. I love Dune Imperium. It's a fantastic evolution of the deck builder philosophy. I think it right now is the pinnacle of that entire philosophy. Oh, we lost Babe.
She'll be back. Just keep talking.
So, Dune Imperium is absolutely fantastic. I love pretty much everything about this game. As a side note to this is made by Direwolf Digital. They also made my C game. So this is 2 in a row for Direwolf Digital. Good for you, gentlemen and ladies there. Dune Imperium, like I said, it's an evolution of the deck building game. There is the cards that you use. You don't play like a whole hand and then draw 5 more and then play a whole hand and draw 5 more. You draw like 5 cards for your hand, but then you play an entire round off of that hand. So I might play 1 card on my turn to do something on the board. And it has different things on the different cards. So you might play it to send one of your workers to a specific space, or you might play it for one of the bonuses on the card, or you might hold on to it. And then at the end of the round, when you have cards left over, they have values on them as well. So then you use whatever's left in your hand to like buy other cards, or you can use them to beef up your combat your army that's in the combat, because there's a combat after every round, which is usually where the majority of the victory points are coming from in the game. So it gets really tense. I love that the definite end of this game is when somebody hits 10 points. So first of all, the points are kind of limited.
Recording. So are we?
Oh man, it did it again. So excellent. So I love that that you know the game is over at 10 points. I think that's fantastic. First of all, that means every point is at a premium. So this end scores are not going to be 250 to 245. It's 10. 10 gets you the win. That's absolutely awesome, which puts more pressure on every one of those combats at the end of every round. Because like I said, generally speaking, that's where your victory points are. Now, there's victory points out on the board as well, depending upon if you have influence with the Fremen or the Emperor or whatever, you could get victory points that way. But you're really honing in on these combat ones. And the combat is almost ancillary to whatever else is going on the board, because you play the whole turn doing all this different stuff. And then at the end, with your extra cards, you have your combat. So, and then it ends up being like one of the most important things going on. So I just really love the headspace in this game where you're trying to put all these different pieces together to somehow eke out a victory in this. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I'm always willing to play this. This was my game of the year for 21, and it's still going strong in my opinion.
Nice. And I said that I strategically saved you for last because I knew this was going to be your pick. And it is also the BoardGameGeek #1 rated game that starts with the letter D, right? Are we keeping score? Is that what we're doing?
We are starting now. Yes.
Starting now, right. Well, speaking of keeping score, Lloyd and I were talking before we started recording today, and we were having a little competition. Hey, you know what? Maybe one of you can win it, but we're going to see who has the most obscure pick for the letter E. So as we move on to the letter E, which one of the five of us, assuming Tiffany can rejoin, which one of the five of us has the most obscure pick for the letter E?
Say her name and she shows up.
And there she is. Well,
welcome.
Well, you know what? Let me just jump in and grab her real quick and let her go first. I don't know if she'll have the most obscure pick, but let's see. Tiffany, what is your game that starts with the letter E?
So my E game is Everdell, another worker placement, and it's beautiful. And I think it's got upgraded components, which I'm a sucker for, because, I was a little perturbed because they changed one of the upgraded components, the twigs, so that they don't just roll off your table anymore. And I was a little perturbed that I had to pay to replace the twigs, and I didn't just get automatically upgraded to those. But anyways,
I've got twigs in my yard.
Yeah, those are very lifelike.
Those are not official.
It'll go with the theme of the game.
They're not tournament.
Yeah. But it's a really great worker placement game where you are building a tableau of cards in front of you, and you are placing your critters in front of you and in front of other people's cards, and taking actions, and just trying to get the right combination of goods to purchase the right cards that you want, so that at the end of the game you have the most money. And it's super fun.
So let me get this straight. Tiffany's list from A to Z is worker placement, beautiful production, or which?
I think
when they merge, come on.
Yeah, worker placement matters more, but beautiful production is definitely up there.
Yeah, I should have been able to think, like, what is this game for Tiffany? I should have been able to nail Everdell. I should have known this one. But
yeah, once she says it, you're like, oh yeah, of course.
I don't like Everdell. Yes, there is a prize for that. I will teach her some good games at Dice Tower Con.
Man.
Oh, boo.
Ouch.
Everdell's a good game.
Disagree, Tiffany. Those are two great games. I'll play them anytime.
Thank you.
Nice. All right. While you are defending her pick, JJ, why don't you tell us what your pick for the letter E is?
Okay, so I'm going to try to be super obscure because I actually have not seen anybody else have this game. So hopefully, let's see if I win. My pick for the letter E is Elysium.
Okay. Hey, we have
Don't
that.
know if anybody actually knows this game or anything, but
Yeah.
yeah. So what you do in this game is you take a piece of paper, and both people. It's usually played one-on-one or in teams. And on the piece of paper, you write lines, two vertical lines.
No
and
tic-tac-toe.
Each person takes turns, right?
No tic-tac-toe.
Hey, we have a tic-tac-toe strategy guide on our channel.
We do.
Go
That's
check it
true,
out.
Sheila.
Click down
Yeah,
here. You can get
Are you looking at my notes? I think my notes messed up. I think you're looking at my notes. Okay, so anyways, Elysium. So if you haven't realized anything worker placement or like cards or tableau building I'm into, and I actually have it sitting right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and look at the box because I don't remember how to play the game. It's been that long. So you have it's based on the Greek gods. You're building your tableau above your board. You're trying to get victory points, and there's like a passing mechanism. So depending on when you pass them around, and then you're trying to use your abilities and put them underneath your little board here. And then when they get down here, you can use them for victory points at the end of the game. So you're trying to use them as much as you can above after you buy them. And then kill them off so you can use them at the end of the game. And you're trying to build sets. So I also like trick-taking games. So anytime you have like a straight or like all the same color, the different numbers. But anyways, the more sets you have at the end of the game, more victory points you have. And then each card type, just like in Deus, you have a different power depending on when you're using it. And yeah, so it's great because you have your little columns. And you can only buy cards with the columns that you have available. And it's like a shared market for every round. Every round, you have to like build the matrix and buy. You can only buy from those cards during the round. So this is just a great game. I love this game. This is another one where I learned it very early, and then I had to go buy it because nobody else had it. It makes me very sad, but yeah, Elysium. And then I wish it's been out for like 10 years or whatever. And I wish they would come out an expansion, but they have not, very sadly.
Gosh, really? Is it that old? I didn't realize that.
It's a very old game.
I remember when it came out and people were talking about it, and it just didn't really particularly resonate with me. But now, now that you're talking about it, I'm like, hey, yeah, I would play that. Sure,
It's fun. I like the way the columns work. Like you were talking about, where like if I use my blue, now I'm out. I can't buy any more blue cards for the rest of the round. So there's that's where the good decision space is to me in that game.
It's great when you're going last. There's only one blue card.
Right.
Well,
see, that's interesting. I was waiting to see if you were gonna weigh in, Erock, because you said you had the game, but I know that doesn't mean you've played it.
It does not necessarily mean, or even that it's out of shrink. To be fair. Yeah.
All right. Well, Erock, what do you have for us?
Sure, I'll go now because I'm absolutely not the most obscure in this list. In fact, I kind of feel like my choice is cheating, but I'm going to use it anyway. My choice for E is El Grande. And I kind of think it's cheating because it just means the big man in Spanish. But I mean, that's the name of the game and it starts with an E. So sue me, El Grande. El Grande is the grandfather of all of the area control games. It's absolutely fantastic. Yes.
You just want to use Gloomhaven later.
What
letter is that? That's crazy.
Jay's gonna be Jaws of the Lion, so he
get it on there as many times as possible. That's clever.
Yeah, absolutely, right. But anyway, I absolutely love this game. There's basically a couple of different mechanisms going on that really just make it more than just an area control game. Everybody has a hand of cards. And you go in order, placing them down, and it's going to determine both your turn order for the round and how many armies you get to bring out of your reserve. And of course, it's opposite, right? Because if I play 1, I'm going to go first in the round, but I don't get any armies. But if I play my 14 card, I'm absolutely going last, but I get like 7 armies to add to my reserve. And then on the same time, you have let's call it a river. It's not really a river. It's just kind of a set of cards on the side of the board. And in play turn order, that's part of your turn, is you get to play one of these cards. And these cards drastically change the face of the board. All right. And basically the only rule is you can't place where the king is. All right. So but one of the cards available every turn is move the king. So that makes, and not only can you not place where the king is, you have to place around where the king is. So that makes really difficult trying to figure out how to gain control in these different places. I think it absolutely shines with 5. Like, this is probably one of the best 5-player games ever made, and it's probably one of the best area control games ever made. I'm a huge fan of this game. I'll play it at any time. It looks a little dry. It's a little bit simple for what we're used to right now, but I don't think it matters. It's elegant. It's perfect, really. It's beautiful. El Grande.
Yeah, it is absolutely dry, but I don't think it's too simple, right? Because the rules are simple, but those decisions like, am I going to jump in here and take the king and move the king somewhere to defend it right before this scoring so nobody can steal it from me? Am I going to put my armies in the tower so that I can, in the Castillo, so that I can win the Castillo points, but then also, parachute them in somewhere else and steal that thing, right? Like, there's a lot going on here, strategic depth wise, without being overcomplicated with rules.
I mean, agree. It's very
still
deep for the rule set. It's a simple rule set, but it's really deep in here. I agree.
I mean, I haven't made the list, but this might be still my favorite area majority game, even though I play a lot of those.
Yeah. Indeed.
Yeah. So, yes, you do not win the award for most obscure. That currently belongs to Elysium, but Lloyd promises us that he's going to dethrone that. So, Lloyd, what is your E-game?
Okay, so you might consider it cheating, but it's on the Geek. It's on BoardGameGeek because it technically is a tabletop game. However, at some point, and it might have been at the beginning of the launch of the PS3, they put out a collectible card game called the Eye of Judgment. And this is basically Magic on a 9-tile grid with area control. The trick is that it used a webcam that talks to the PlayStation 3 to look at the cards. All the cards had QR codes on them, which is ultimately what killed the game, because the pirating people figured out, the QR codes are what's important. And so they just made digital scans and released them all online. And then it killed the market.
No reason to buy it. Right.
But essentially what this was, it's like Magic. You have 5 different elements, except the 5th one. And this one is the biomechs. And there's all this backstory too, but essentially you are playing cards and you're trying to get control 5 areas on the board, and it's just a 3x3 grid, and your cards all have different ways that they attack, and you have like spell cards that you can just like blow stuff up, and the field itself has different elements on it. So if you play like a water creature on the water tile, it gets a boost. However, all the tiles are flippable, so the backsides will typically have the alternate element. So if you have a water space, it might have fire on it. Not all of them are the exact opposite, but you run that risk of, I need that spot and I'm going to get a boost. But if the other player has a card to flip it, or one of his abilities can flip that tile, you could just nuke your own card. And it was really cool because it was all augmented reality. And whenever you played cards and did battles, because it was a PS3 game, it displayed the visuals of what was happening with 3D animations happening. So we've seen that a little bit more now with more apps and whatnot. This was kind of like a precursor. It was taking a bunch of different things and putting it together, and just the collectible card community just completely destroyed it. They released, I think, 1 set, and then by the second expansion set, people had figured out how to do that, and it just completely killed it. And they couldn't make money off doing the cards anymore because nobody was buying the cards. But they sold it at Target. You just buy the cards at Target. They sold my GameStop. I was a nut. This was like my Magic before I played Magic. So that is my E. And I wish it would come back. You could play it on the tabletop. You don't need the augmented reality. That just made it cool, and it was something to do. But it was a card game. You had mana. You had a handful of cards. You played the cards. And you hope that your lighting was good enough that the damn camera would see it because you had a timer on your turn. And sometimes it would lose it, and you would fiddle with that card all day, trying like for the 30 seconds, and you would lose a turn because it couldn't see it. So you had to like it was just ahead of its time, and that's ultimately what killed it.
I remember seeing this game advertised. I remember people complaining about it not recognizing their card, but I don't think I ever met anybody who actually played the game. So that is pretty obscure, Lloyd.
I was in a league. I played online. We were all like part of a specific like you picked like one of the 5 elements and you built decks around it. And there was like a PlayStation community for it. I played in that all the time.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. All right. Well, you know, maybe you could all vote, but I think Lloyd may take the cake here because mine.
Yes, I finally win something.
I'm sort of cheating here because this game definitely is on the Geek. It definitely does start with an E, and probably maybe not that many people have played the E version of the game, but other versions of the game with other names are very popular. And so if you've heard of Telestrations, or I personally own Cranium Scribblish, those are just versions of what was originally a, for lack of a better term, open source free game out there called Eat Poop You Cat.
Okay.
Right. And that's because like the first sort of play of this game, you know, so the way the game works is there's a sentence and then somebody has to draw the sentence. And then the next person only sees the drawing and has to describe it with a sentence. And the next person only sees that sentence and has to do a drawing, and it alternates and alternates. And so it's like this version of telephone, right? Where it just keeps getting more and more and more obscure and whatever. It started with some animal eating something or whatever, you know, and at the end there's like a cat in front of a bowl of spaghetti or something. And then somebody described it as Eat Poop You Cat was how they described that drawing or whatever. And that became the name of the game. Right. So I mentioned I own the Cranium Scribblish version, and since we own this sort of professional version with the plastic things that help you roll up the drawing to obscure what's there, you know, we would never play the sort of free version of it where you have to fold a piece of paper so you don't see or whatever, because, you know, basically this one makes it better. And there's prompt cards for what the, you know, sentences should be that you start with. And, you know, it's just somebody's made a professional production of this game. So when I have one, and that's what we play, but it is basically just Eat Poop You Cat. And it's, you know, it's a fun game. If you just got a piece of paper and a pencil and that short description I gave you, bam, you can play this game. So anyway, have you all played Telestrations or Scribblish or
a version of
anything
that,
like
yes.
that? Yeah.
I
but have you played?
That was a very good choice, but Lloyd beat you out though. Sorry.
I've not heard of that one, but Telestrations makes my list of like 3 party games that I'll play.
I've heard of Eat Poop You Cat.
Cards for the game right here.
Oh my goodness!
I got all this. I got them all sleeved. I've never gotten rid of them. I can't play the game, but I kept the cards. They are awesome.
We've moved on. We've moved on to Eat Poop You Cat.
All right. So I passed that crown to Lloyd. Lloyd gets the obscurity crown for the letter E.
I got the game. I just need a PS3.
So
I know where
close.
some are that still work.
Get on eBay. They're probably $400.
No, I have one. You can borrow mine.
Oh, all right. I have one that doesn't work. You can borrow that one.
I don't have a camera.
My son has mine.
Oh, yeah. All right. Are we ready to move on to the letter F? Oh, no, wait. We didn't do Board Game Geek.
Yeah.
Board Game Geek. And I'm going to throw this one back over to Erock, too, because it is Eclipse Second Dawn for the Galaxy.
Okay, so to be fair, I haven't played the Second Dawn for the Galaxy yet, but I played a lot of the first one. And the second one is basically a fancier production of something that was already an immense and pretty fancy production. I actually like Eclipse a lot. It's kind of a Euro version of something like Twilight Imperium. Whereas in Twilight Imperium or those kinds of games, you just kind of go out and make war and make peace and explore and all this. If this is a Euro version of that. So you would take an action to explore and then you would go and explore. You would take an action to build and then you would build things on your planets that would then produce money or industry or whatever to help produce more ships or help, you know, expand your borders and all this. And meanwhile, there's a ton of different ships that come in the game. And the really cool draw to this, I think, is the technology. The technology in this game is fantastic. Basically, there is a huge grid of technology, but the way it works is every round, only so many things come out. So it's not like a typical game like this where you just pick your path and that's the technology that you evolve up and do your thing. Like, you have to kind of watch and see. Like, there might be one torpedoes out. And if you get those, you're the only one with torpedoes until another torpedoes comes out. And it's really about modifying your ships to basically take on different threats from the other players, kind of a thing. So, and there's kind of a rock, scissors, paper thing going on with the different kinds of ammo and things like that. So it's really, this game is really about the technology and upgrading your ships. And you get to have some really cool and crazy things, because once you start putting these upgrades on, it's really hard to math some of this out. Like, as a for instance, so I think it's missiles or torpedoes, whatever, but one of them fires first, but then they're done. And then the guns kick in and you can fire guns all day. So if you have somebody that like maxed out on the torpedoes, they're going to hit you very, very hard fast. But I might have guns, and if I can just stand off long and like, if he doesn't kill all of me, he's in trouble, because now I can just shoot him with guns the whole time. And there's this whole like escalation. It's almost like a Cold War that turns into a hot war kind of a thing. And just like all of these space games that are, you know, like this, of course, the center of the board is where it's at. So it draws everybody into the center of the board. You can actually expand any way that you want to. It's not a setup board. Like, as you expand, you put hexes out. So you could theoretically go away from the center of the board if you kind of just want to do your own thing and turtle, which I think is a really cool concept, but none of that's going to be nearly as good as the stuff in the middle. So it's going to draw you in there. I absolutely love this game just because there's so many different ways to play it. The upgrades, you'll never play the same game twice. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just a random 5 or 6 technologies that come out. Well, that's totally different out of the 25 or 30 possibles. Next time you play, it won't even be those. It'll be completely different things or a mixture or whatever. And it just totally sets the game up to play completely different every time. All the factions are different. They're very asymmetrical in different ways. They have special abilities. It's a really, really cool 4X space game that does not take 12 hours to play.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 3 hours, 200 minutes, maybe. I mean, that's pretty good for a 4X game.
Yeah, that's about right. 3, maybe 4 hours, and you have a really good time doing it. As opposed to, man, I love Twilight Imperium, but come on, that's 6, 8, 10, 12 hours to play that game, man. So,
wow. Okay. Never played it. I thought it was more in the 6 range, but wow.
It really has a lot to do with how many players. Like, I'm a glutton for
how many of them have played before?
That too.
Yeah.
Like, I've played 8-player games. Those take 12 hours, you know, and I'm sure all 8 people don't know how to play, you know. So I'm not trying to get off on a rant here, but.
All right, cool. Well, you know, let's go ahead and move on to the letter F then. All right. And let's start off with JJ this time. What have you got for us for the letter F that is not Connect 4?
No, it is not Connect 4. That is C. So, I had trouble with the letter F. I was searching. I went through the whole list on BoardGameGeek, and I had trouble finding an F. I actually have Founders of Gloomhaven over here. It's still wrapped because it's a very long game, and I have not found people that want to play this game. As soon as I tell them, I'm like, I don't know how to play it, but it's like 4, 5, 6 hours they don't want to play. So I have not played it. It's here wrapped. I still want to play it though. So it's not going to be my F because I have not played it, but I do want to. So what I did is I picked a game that I only got to play like once, but I loved it, and I ended up buying it, and that is Fate of the Elder Gods. It is very quick Cthulhu-based game, unlike Arkham Horror or Eldritch Horror, because they take so long. So I like Fate of the Elder Gods because it's a lot shorter. So what you do in this game is you have a deck of cards. Everybody gets 7 cards to start the game, and there's 4 different colors in the deck of cards. So what you're trying to do is get down to 1. and then eventually get rid of
Should
your
I
whole hand.
should I play a skip on him now?
Yes.
Reverse.
Let's
There's 0 to
board,
7
reverse.
on the card. There's a card that has an X on there. Yeah. And then there's reversey and then draw 2. And then my favorite is the big one that has wild on the middle of it, +4.
No,
Great
+4.
card.
Yeah, +4.
Anyway, so I got my notes messed up again. Hold on a second.
You need that +4 to summon an elder god. Yeah.
Yes. That's right. So what's great about Fate of the Elder Gods is you're not playing the investigators in this one. You're actually playing one of the priest. What is it?
The cult
priest.
Cultists.
Cultists. You're playing the cultists, and you're representing one of the elder gods, which is great. And each elder god has an asymmetrical ability, which that's all about asymmetrical abilities. So you're just going around trying to stop the investigators from stopping you and the other cultists from stopping you from raising your elder god. So there's a little bit of it's not really Rondell, but you can't pick the last action you pick. So it's got that little scythe thing going on. And then it also depends on how many people are there so there's a lot to take that too, because you can have the investigators come investigate your board if you have too many there. And then each space does a different action. It's very simple for a Cthulhu based board game compared to the other ones. So it doesn't play as long. You can get done with about an hour to 2 hours, but it's very thematic. Different powers for each different elder god. So you do want to go around and play all the different ones because they have very different abilities on each of them. And then has very amazing pieces. This is what really, Tiffany, this is
Listening.
very,
You got my
very, very
Babe, we have
pretty-looking
this.
pieces. And so that's what initially drew me in. The purple pieces look amazing. So each of the cultists and the investigators look great. There's take that, and then you're just going around trying to achieve your elder one, get them out. And then, that's pretty much it.
This is Richard Lanius, right?
Actually, it's around here somewhere, so I will answer that question if somebody wants to go.
It's behind you too, babe.
Somewhere right here.
Down. Look down.
So I haven't played this game in the final version, but I am remembering Richard Lanius bringing a very, very early version of this game to Prototype Con. You guys remember Prototype Con here in Orlando?
Yeah.
That used to be a thing.
Heard of it.
He brought an early version of that to one of the first Prototype Cons. And I feel like I should have a design credit in this game, right? He was messing around with mechanics, and I was just like, hey, does it say, is it Richard Lanius? Am I thinking of the right game?
Fable. Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah. He was like, so he was showing some early mechanisms. I was like, well, what if it worked like this? And he was like, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. And that ended up in the final game. I'm like, where's my design credit?
Right.
No, but I loved Prototype Con. Too bad it's not really a thing anymore. All right.
So whoever came up with the idea of having different elder one abilities that's spot on. It's very good.
Nice. So, Fate of the Elder God, F. All right, let's go to Tiffany. Tiffany, want to give us an F?
So I had a hard time picking F. It was a bit of a barren wasteland for options, I felt like. So I kind of went with a game that I just have a really sentimental attachment to because of the memory. So one of my proudest vacation moments was I was in St. Augustine, which is one of the United States' oldest cities. And I was in one of the oldest taverns, and it did not have electricity. It was just candle lit because it was that old. And I played Pirate Fluxx wearing my winch attire. So I got to have an experience where I got to play the card where I don't remember if you speak with a pirate accent, you get to draw an extra card or you get to play an extra card or something. So I definitely played that card. And it was just a really fun time. I felt like I had arrived as far as the thematic vacations went. I really nailed that one. So my answer for F games is Fluxx, particularly the pirate one. But that's the beauty of it. They've got so many different versions of it. You could match whatever theme you're trying to go for. Are you graduating? I'm sure they've got something for that. Going on your honeymoon? I'm sure they've got something for that. Whatever it is you're doing, I'm sure you can find
A Fluxx, yeah.
Yeah.
I did not I did not expect Fluxx to make this list. I got a $5 used copy of Math Fluxx to play with my kids, but we haven't tried it yet, so we'll see how that goes over. But like,
you gotta try.
Yeah, right. Here's Fluxx that teaches math. All right, yeah. There's a Fluxx for that, like you said.
There's a Fluxx for that. Exactly.
Nice. Well, that's funny because I actually struggled with F for the opposite reason. Some of my favorite games start with F. I mean, For Sale is one of my favorite games of all time, and that is not my F pick.
Oh, because really? I picked that for you.
Because on any given day, if you were to ask me what my number one favorite game is, I might, out of my mouth, might come Formula D.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Right. So For Sale is like top 5, top 3, something for me. Right. But Formula D, is one that sometimes I'll say number one. I probably have said For Sale is my number one at some point too. But Formula D, I like push your luck. Right. I like push your luck games. I like cars, right, as a theme in a board game. I like racing as a theme in a board game. And in this game, I also I really like that this is what I like to say, this is roll and move done right? So I feel like every mechanism that is out there for board games, if you use it right, it works, right? Roll and move can be awful, right? Of course it can. But roll and move with some strategic decisions and push your luck, lots of fun. This game out of the box supports up to 10 players. My copy actually supports up to 12. And like realistically, you can play 10 players if you're doing a 1-lap race, and it's not going to take all night, right? It's going to go pretty quick, especially if you have somebody sort of like, all right, who's next? It's your turn. It's your turn. It's your turn. But it's got it really encourages you to push your luck because you can gear down all you want, right? You can gear down multiple gears and you just take some damage for that, which isn't so bad, right? You've got plenty of damage points to spend, but you can only gear up one at a time, right? So you never want to gear down because it's slow to gear back up. So you want to try to take every corner in as high a gear as possible. And you're like, what's going to happen? Am I going to roll here? Well, if I roll high on the die, I'm going to lose a ton of damage. Then I'm going to have to be conservative the rest of the race, right? And the other thing I like about this game is like, if you aren't limping across the finish line with your car on fire about to explode, you did not play this game right? You need to maximize that damage that you are taking. I remember one time I was playing a custom track that one of my friends made for me. So I have a UCF track made from Google Maps. And like my friend Kevin, who hates this game, by the way, but will play it with us when we decided to play it anyway. We were like on the next to the last corner and he geared down, and he went around the corner safely. And I'm just like, screw it. I just blew by him and took a ton of damage. And he was like, why didn't I do that? Damn it. Like he realized he had just lost the race on that corner when I whizzed past him. And now I'm in a higher gear. So he's not going to catch me on that straightaway right before, the end or whatever. So, I don't know. It's just fun. We have a friend that we still every now and then refer to as Downshift because he plays too conservatively in this game. Downshift Murphy,
Ouch.
Yeah, I don't know. His name's actually Alex Murphy, so more often we call him RoboCop. But so anyway, it's it's whatever. It's a good time, and there are people who don't like it because it's dice chucking and it's push your luck, and that's not very strategic enough to them, I suppose. And and you can have a play of this game. Like we had one play of this game where my friend Tony, he just nailed it. Every corner, rolled the perfect damn number and nailed the corner perfectly. And he was just gone. And then basically it was just, the rest of the game was everybody else competing for second place, right? But I had fun competing for second place, right? It was, it was like he was playing a different game almost at that point. Anyway, I can go on and on and on about Formula D. I can go on and on about how I want to have a live version of this with golf carts but anyway. I won't. I won't. I will pass the ball over to Erock to talk. What was that?
Well, don't tease us like that. I know we're gonna get some golf carts.
Yeah.
Next time.
Golf carts and something the size of 20 football fields, probably. All right. But I will pass it over to Erock to talk about his letter F.
It must be something about the letter because I had a hard time with the letter F also. I think that's a clean sweep. 5 out of 5. Hard with the letter F. For me, I'm going with Friedrich. That's going to be my F game. I basically just made that decision right now. I have like 3 games listed here, and I just had a really hard time choosing between them. But
Unkenschlag?
No, that's power grid for this list, sir. But anyway, Friedrich is a light war game. It is basically a 1 versus 3 kind of a game. It happens right before the 7 Years' War. So one of the players is Frederick the Great, and the other 3 players are other countries around him. And it's a little bit more complicated than that because there's a 4-player game, but there's actually 7 countries. So a couple of people play 2 countries at the same time, kind of a thing. But it's basically Frederick against everybody. All right. But it is in no way a co-op. So if I'm playing France, I'm not cooperating with Austria. We're both against Friedrich, but we're also both trying to win. And I can't attack Austria. We're in a alliance or coalition or something. We're all just attacking Friedrich, but the person that gets the most, like who gets the most success, is going to win. Or Friedrich hold off everybody long enough, kind of a thing. All right, so I really like the mechanism in this game. The board is divided up like a grid, and in each grid is a suit off of a regular deck of cards. All right, so your armies, now you do have chits to represent armies of different strength and whatnot, but when you go into a battle, you have a hand of cards just from a regular deck of cards. All right, and where your army sits on the map is the suit you can use in this battle. All right, so I might be in a town, say over here, and I'm in clubs, and I might be fighting you just across the border in the grid, and you might be in hearts. So I'm playing clubs, and you're playing hearts. And it's basically, the hands are hidden, so I have no idea what you have, and you just kind of play troops out. Like an 8 is 8. You know what I'm saying? And like whoever has the most points gathered by the time everybody just stops the battle, they're going to win the battle by whatever the difference was. So if I put like a 4 and a 6 out, I'm at 10. And if you play an 8, I'm up by 2. So if I win this battle, you're losing 2 troops. That kind of a thing. So it can actually get pretty far off. If you get caught in the wrong place with no cards, you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm trying to maneuver a little bit on the board and I kind of slide into spades for a minute, but I don't really have any spades and you hit me there, I'm in trouble. It doesn't matter what my army is because I don't have the cards to play it. I really like this mechanism because it really puts this whole other spin on positioning and movement as far as the board goes, because you have to be conscious of that constantly. And where's my strength? I have so many hearts. I want to get in a fight in hearts. But, you know, like I said, if depending on how you maneuver, maybe you maneuver me into clubs or diamonds, and I'm not that great in those. But maybe you're not that great in what you're sitting in either, so it's going to be kind of a fair fight. You just never know until you start throwing down cards. And I just think this game's fantastic. The system is repeated in a game called Maria. I don't know. I haven't quite gone as far as M, but Maria is a 3-player version of this. I think it's awesome. If you know, every once in a while my grognard shines through, but this is one of those. If this sounds remotely interesting to you, if you have a little taste of the war game, get Friedrich or get Maria. It's fun.
Nice. Cool. How long is it typically?
It's hard to say because somebody could just run over it. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen games that don't last very long because it's just like France just gets too far and there's nothing, you know what I'm saying? Like Friedrich has to be awesome in this game because he's controlling all 3 fronts. And if you know, like if I distract him too much and he puts everything towards me, now Austria is wide open and they just roll right through him. So it's hard to say. It could be long. I'd say it could go up to as long as 3 hours, maybe. Possibly
you know,
more.
I like games. This sounds like one of those kind of games where, you know, like you can have an experienced player that teaches other people how to play, and then there's one role that the experienced player clearly should be playing.
It clearly should be.
Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah. That's cool. All right. Lloyd, what have you got for us with your F game?
So I struggled with Fs because there wasn't many F games that I liked. I have Fallout sitting here, and it didn't really do what I thought it was going to do. It's cool, but it just doesn't work right. And I got Forbidden Sky. That's okay. The Forbidden games are okay, but they're nothing I'm like, I got to play them. I was almost going to pick Fluxx because I was completely just flummoxed as to what to even pick.
There's a Fluxx for that.
I ended up crossing over with you. I have Formula D down on my list.
Hey, all right.
So, yeah, I don't have a whole lot to talk about. You pretty much summed it all up. It's push your luck, you rolling dice and going as fast as you can and trying not to blow your car up. I've only played it a handful of times, but it's always fun. I think I've won once, and every other time I don't think I've ever blown up, but I've come pretty damn close. So
yeah. I mean, in this game, you're either first or you're blowing up. But yeah, that's interesting because I don't think we've ever discussed this before. But always mentally, I was like, I bet Lloyd likes this game.
I do like it. We play it every once in a while with our group. There's somebody in there that doesn't really like it, but then he goes out of his way every turn when we do play it to he just pushes hard. He tries to blow himself up and get out of the game very quickly. But he still plays it. He just has fun blowing himself up. So
as long as he's having fun, right?
Gotta have goals, right? All right.
Yeah, that was my Formula Day, Formula D, whatever it's called now.
Either version, whatever. They're both good. And there's a ton of tracks you can get for them. Yeah. Even, like I said, user-created tracks, like the UCF one, which my friend who made it for me uploaded to BoardGameGeek. You can download it and print it yourself. So that was everybody's F game, right? I got everybody. So I'm ready to move on to BoardGameGeek. And BoardGameGeek's F game, probably pretty obvious to those of you who pay attention to the ratings, but I'll pass this over to JJ to tell us a little bit about A Feast for Odin.
It's going to be a very little bit because I've only played it like once. So let me look at the picture here. Try to remember how to play this game. Okay, so everybody has a tableau which you're trying to fill up with furniture, food, all kinds of stuff. How do you even explain this game? There's so much going on.
I don't know. We don't have an hour to explain it, so just do your best.
Yeah, it took me like half the game to understand what was going on before I figured it out. It's like, all right, so I'm trying to get this, but then it has to fit in this space, but I can take a coin and fill up this little gap. Oh, but wait, somebody took an action for this round. So now I have to wait for the next round before I can do that action, but I hold on to this stuff here for this round. And I got to pay for my Vikings or whatever it is. So basically it's a worker placement game that you're trying to get pieces. It could be food, it could be like clothing, and you're trying to send your Vikings out to go get the stuff you need. I guess the overall theme is you're trying to make a feast for Odin. I guess the final whole theme of the game is to do that. But you can get to the basic stuff very early in the game, which is more on the top of the board, but you need more workers and I think money or something to get to the larger spaces towards the end of the game. It has then you have ships you can go out and go fishing. It's just this is going to be tough. How do you even explain this game? So yeah, it's a worker placement. You're trying to build up your little board and you're trying to fill in. You start with your board empty and you're trying to fill it in with all the different tools and food and everything that's on this board. And you're trying to make a feast like to present to Odin because it's that kind of game. And there's multiple ways to get all the pieces that you can fit on your board, and then you have to pay for your workers during that time.
We have this open on our shelves. This is like next 2 or 3 games that we play. This is going to be in there. I've been kind of prepping up for it. I know it doesn't play exactly like it, but the general consensus is it's the same feel as like Caverna or Agricola. Like it's that kind of a feel of a game, but of course it is because it's Uwe. So,
it's Uwe Rosenberg.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah.
So it's kind of like evolution.
What is it with him and feeding, right? Like Agricola,
Yeah,
Caverna, you got to feed your people.
Gotta feed your people.
Feast for Odin. Obviously, there's a feast. Even my favorite Uwe game, Bonanza, you're planting bean fields. It's food, right? Like what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. But
it's a very heavy game. Very heavy.
Yeah.
Game. Trying to figure everything in there.
My only experience with this game was at a convention, and my friends were setting it up, learning how to play it. I left. I came back an hour later, and they hadn't started playing yet. And I left, and I came back 2 hours later, and they were in the middle of the game. I left, and I came back 2 hours later, and then I think they were wrapping up. Yeah. So setting it up, playing it. They were all playing it for the first time, but yeah, I mean, it was a good 5 hours, probably more. But yeah, like you look at this game on BoardGameGeek, it's like dice rolling, polyominoes, worker placement. I'm like, what is this mishmash? But man, it works because the people who play this game love this game.
Yeah, it's very polarizing because you either love it or you can just be like, nah, I don't want to ever play this ever again. And I'm definitely the latter. But everybody that I know that owns this game, they want to play it like 20 times in a row.
That'll probably be us. We love deep, long games. If it's a good game, if it's well constructed, Babe and I would both rather play one game for 4 hours than 3 hour games, really.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if you've seen the number of components that are in this box, if Tiffany likes it, you are going to literally go broke trying to upgrade it. Yeah.
Well, yeah, heard. We also have the Norwegians because everybody says, oh, you got to play with the Norwegians. But I mean, the base game comes with like 61 actions in it, and then that just adds more to it. So, Norwegians is still in shrink. That's a goal.
Is that the
We'll build
extra
for that.
Different player boards? Yeah, I might have played this twice because I think the second time we did have the Norwegian, and it does give you extra space to put your stuff. So that gives you like an extra action. So I would agree with using the Norwegians.
Cool. We'll get there.
All right. All right, cool. Well, there you go. We got through D, E, and F. So A, B, C, D, E, F. I guess next time we'll probably do 3 more letters. I don't know. We'll see. But when that's released,
I'm betting it'll be G, H, and I. That's just a guess.
Maybe. I might want to mix it up. If you saw the cover of that Elysium game that JJ brought up, it's got all kinds of misplaced letters that are just wrong. So apparently we can do anything we want with the alphabet. But but yeah, anyway, so we are still continuing on our quest to game through the alphabet. Come join us on the Discord channel that we have linked below. Tell us what your favorite games are for A, B, C, D, E, and F. We also post when we release new videos there, or you can subscribe to us right here. You can even hit that bell icon to get notified when the next one comes out. And hey, if you enjoyed this, please give us a thumbs up. That really does help us out. But until the next time, we are Just Got Played. I'm Steven. That's Lloyd. That's Erock. That's JJ. That's Tiffany. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. See you next time.
Hey.
Bye.
Yeah. Come join Discord. Tell me you played Friedrich. Tell me it's awesome. It's awesome.
Come on, kids. Let's sing the alphabet. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. Now I will never forget how to say the alphabet. That was fun.